Hey YouTube, John Green 1990 here to do my live reaction review of the latest chapter for I Reincarnated. The time I got reincarnated as a slime, it is chapter 102, Inviting Other Nations. So I'm assuming we're picking right off with Ruru talking to the vampire demon lord essentially about what's going on, creating actual more like in United Nations, and so bringing the other nations in and maybe creating something like that. So here we go. We have title page, we have the city as our heart and soul, experience, the best Tempest has to offer. We have Urguru, and we have Elite Ogre's sister. It's been a while since I've actually read this monthly, so forgive me as I readjust with the names. Kingdom of Blumond. You're so good at using chopsticks. Of course, I've been eating tons of ramen ever since I came to this town. Morales Company, Blumond headquarters. I see, so you require a loan to start your new business. I require the initial capital, but success is as good as guaranteed. I'm sure you would like to see or share the returns well. I start with just a plan. What a pain in the butt. Market research and customer personally, you can take care of the small details. A dangerous venture will clearly end in failure. If one of my advisors suggests this, I drive him back into his training period. Wages? What sort of fool would pay slaves a wage? However, he is still a noble. You have quite the discerning eye, Kazakh-sama. Let's see what would be the best option now. Sup, how's it going, Miles Rouse? Who the heck are you? What tactless simpleton would barge unannounced into our business discussion? Please wait. The boss is currently meeting with a customer. Oh, damn, I'm sorry, you had guessed. I'll go ahead and turn mention wait for you there later. And the noble thinks he's a girl and falls in love with Maru. That looks good. Just when hold on, Miles. You have a rather agreeable face, although your manners could use some work. Right, please excuse intrusion. Very sorry. So he's going to try to persuade Rimward, have him come to his place, and because he sees him more as a pretty girl. I can forgive you. In fact, I'll even offer to take you in. I know a thing or two about correcting the behavior. Just a moment. Miles Rouse throws him out. A mere merchant dares to slide a number. Have you gone mad, Miles Rouse? I'm amazed you still have the nerve to say that after insulting my benefactor. I would say a viscount such as yourself can defend me, no? I will not be accepting your request for loan. I task that you leave immediately, your lordship, Kazakh. Man, I'm really sorry I got in the way of your work. Don't be. I have been brainstorming ways to get rid of myself anyway. He's been talking with some proposals from the moment we met. Troublesome indeed. Today's proposal is particularly complicated. Get a load of this. He wanted to start a business dealing in elf slaves. Elves? Wait, slaves? Yes, and as you know, the slave trade is forbidden by law. Like most anime, fantasy, elves, I'm assuming, are beautiful and wanted as slaves, typically. Furthermore, elves are demi-humans said to inherit the blood of fairies. Since they all live so long, it's difficult to tell how noble their heritage ignites, not to mention the sorcerer dynasty of Saurion is an elf as well. His proposal was so heinous criminal that it would erupt into international dispute the moment word got out. But are you going to be okay? Being a noble gives some amount of influence. Come on, they don't call me the dawn of the underworld for nothing. I can protect myself just fine. You don't need to worry a bit. So then what business do you have with me? Oh yeah, I brought a minor job I thought you'd be able to do. Have you come up with another new endeavor? You see, Tempest Founding Festival. Yeah, it'll be a huge festival that counts as my first grand appearance and demonstration of my country's appeal, as well as a political boost for Farmers as a new king. You're really packing it. Farmers, who's now their ally because their buddy, the hero, became king. All my executive came with unique projects and are raring to put them in motion. My friend went on about how he was going to start a Tamaki stand. Pretty much the dragon. So anyway, here's the invitation. Oh yes, of course, from Rue. You know I'd be fine just giving you the invitation, but I'd much rather have you on the hosting side. With all my friends working their butts off, I can't just sit on my butt, right? So that's where you come in. So we can easily imagine a number of foreigners visiting the festival. So I want a centerpiece to draw their attention. A centerpiece, you see. Yeah, I hate to say it, but although we have hot springs, inns, and amazing foods, there's practically nothing when it comes to entertainment. In other words, the job you ask me is coming up with something to make visitors want to come back, as well as managing the funds and budget of the founding festival or something like that. That's my more or less ask. Ken, your brain scares me sometimes. No, I couldn't possibly compare to you. So you know how much money's going to move. Of course you do, right? Rest at ease, just between you and me, I'm a specialist when it comes to anything related to money. And thus, Rumor and Morals Palace began their strategy meeting for the upcoming founding festival. So, the title, inviting the other nations, is more going to be for the festival, and then kind of luring them in and helping to see truly how Tempest is. I like that idea. I'm a nation of Dwargan. Hey, did you hear about Tempest? Yeah, I did. They established relations with Libulus, right? How did they manage to persuade those stiffs? You've gotten one step closer to your dream, huh, Slimeson? After the Holy Empire of Libus made a sudden policy change, a emergency conference was held in Dwargan Palace. They ended up softening their views on monsters, but what did that mean for Dwargan? Of course, many held the view that Demon Lord Rumor was dangerous. He attained the seat of Demon Lord by defeating Flamen, right? If he managed to repel the might of the Holy Knights during this incident, he is clearly a threat. We must rethink our relationship with Tempest. And this is the nation that's been closest with him since the beginning. Well, I agree with that argument that we should put our sparks before they cause a fire. Spies report that the Storm Dragon has yet to move. Therefore, it seems to me that Tempest had no blame for the current incident. Those stubborn Holy Knights wouldn't change policy just because they failed once. The issue is that the Saint, Hinata, is involved. She is said to be equal skill to King Gazelle when it comes to play. Just how to Demon Lord Rumor and she persuaded her, I wonder. King Gazelle, perhaps that Slimeman, is more powerful than you. Impossible! You are dare insult his majesty. How could a monster lie for a few years, possibly match the king? If this is even the slightest truth, then the universe is truly dangerous. Silence, your majesty. There is no need to rumor. Rumor is my junior disciple. In addition, since we first the nation to support Tempest, we should have the strongest about them. Yet you still say we should doubt Rumor? I like his faith in his friend. Indeed, their country has many new technologies we have yet to learn. Cutting relations now will incur heavy drawbacks. Correct. Distance ourselves from Lord Rumor would simply be throwing away all the adventures we've earned this far. Precisely. There is no need to fear him excessively. A good-natured slime who follows his heart and wants nothing more than entertainment. That is Rumor Tempest's goal as a king, and as long as he retains the heart, I will never abandon him. Let us welcome the new age of advancement alongside our dear friend. I like that. That is all. If anyone objects, speak now. Do as you wish. I'll follow you regardless. I've got your back. You'll always be my general. My lord, I am but your shadow. I will always follow your side. I believe that we need to keep the situation under control, so I agree with His Majesty's decision. Me too, I agree, as your Majesty commands. As for how this decision will affect the eventual war, I do not know yet, but that matters little. If the angels strike at us, we will hold the united front. Right, brothers? They keep talking about how the angels are going to intervene. The last few chapters, it feels like. And so I feel like that will either be the next big conflict or the major, like, overdooming conflict. You're going to have several leading up to that, I feel. I just remembered, Majesty, do you have a moment? Yes, what is it? You see, we've received an invitation from Margaret, the Prime Minister of Tempest. Invitation? Are they holding a tea party or something? No, it seems to be for Demon Lord Rumor's first public appearance as Demon Lord. It is said your presence would be greatly appreciated. A ceremony. Rumor seemed to struggle with formal ceremonies. Perhaps my attendance would enlighten the attention of the nations. Let's see, can I do anything urgent? Invitation to founding festival. Your Majesty. Festival, no, I have no idea what's gotten his mind, but I can say for sure that he doesn't know how to lay low. You're smiling, Your Majesty. Sorcerer Dynasty of Saurion. Never stops surprising him to think he would really be recognized as a demon lord. Unbelievable father of the eventual Ellen, Duke of the Sorcerer Dynasty of Saurion. I can accept that he wants to make his first formal appearance, but why is he inviting me instead of the Empress? You need press just think about the last time I went to Tempest. I don't know if the country of monsters was safe or not, so of course I couldn't bring the Empress with me. I simply told the results comment about the fact, but wow, you had the opportunity to visit such an interesting place all by yourself. So pretty much she seems like a person that wants to go out and enjoy life, and she's a little mad and jealous. Lucky you. I wondered why you decided to leave me behind. I bet she had a ton of fun. Sounds like she's that. You even named yourself as my emissary to establish formal relations. The thought that I might want to handle such an important matter myself never passed your mind. Or that I might want to see such an interesting being with my own eyes. It's more of he was focused on his daughter. Ever looked up for stall in a dictionary? I never thought I would get the kind of treatment from a family member. What a miserable empress I am. I apologize for intruding on your relaxing time. Regarding the matter of the Monster Nation I reported you the other day, I have just received an invitation for them. Oh, is that so? And she calls him forward. So you're telling me this time, what is your plan, Eluid? Alicia L. Saurion, Empress of the Saurian Dynasty of Saurion, Elan's cousin. My plan? No straight answer. Of course not. If I asked you to come with me, you wouldn't even hesitate. The Empress visiting another country would be a national affair. There's no way I could invite you so casually. However, her tantrum from last time resulted in the budgets of certain projects being frozen. So pretty much now he's got to work with her, or he's going to get more stuff that he wants pushed along, stalled, or cut in half. Because of that, the plan to share technology with Tempest has been stalled indefinitely. I need to somehow get her to give up the founding festival while also fixing her mood. By the way, I brought some sweets from Mission Store, but their quality was recently improved considering. Would you happen to know why? Sweets. Oh yeah, I remember him being offered support due to being otherworld, but not much else. Really nothing. I suppose you're widely known enough that means nothing when it comes to the latest gospel. What a disappointment. My deepest apologies, Majesty. I am aware that he is an otherworlder, Pastor only a story in Garcia, although this is the first time I've heard about you importing sweets from there. But how is you related? I can't imagine a connection between him and Rendona's influence. You really don't know? You see, Ellen Chan bought some sweets for me a while back. I guess you didn't get any though. What? So his daughter brought some to the Empress and not her daddy. I'm feeling much better now, so I'll leave it at that. And here's a bonus. The increase in quality was due to obtaining ingredients from a certain someone. Certain someone? In addition, Yoshida is apparently going to close up shop for a while. It seems he plans to relocate. I won't be able to taste his sweets sometime. Don't you think that's a shame? Not particularly. Ellen absolutely loves those sweets, and maybe she would visit home more often if you have. So after all, she joins me for tea parties regularly. I love that they continue pushing this. She's using Ellen as a bargaining chip. Darn those two. I order them to report me every time Ellen comes back. I'm going to murder them, her escorts. This is a matter of the greatest importance. Right, that's why I use the extent of my money to influence, to siphon as much information as possible. And guess what his new residence will be? Exactly. Tempest. Now that you mention it, I saw Ellen stuffing herself with cake there. Shukshan is so incredible, she perfectly recreated the newest recipe. At the time, Rudon and Yoshitsune were already connected. Precisely, it seems someone failed to realize it early enough. How are you really as talented as they are? Whatever, I had thought you might have invited Yoshitsune to Tempest for the sake of your beloved daughter, but it seems Ellen-chan never spoke to you about sweets. Stabbed to the heart. Your Majesty, how shall we respond to Jona's invitation? You look like you're on the last leg and still want to keep going. Let's see. Frankly speaking, if she says she wants to go founding festival, I cannot deny her. But it will make things complicated. The Sorcerer Dynasty started as an empire founded by Empress Lemishia under her 13 royal houses. So now we're getting a little lore about the family of the Saurian dynasty, which I like, of which the kings of each sworn loyalty to Lemishia. That said, they're crafty much. Some of the kings avoid taking role in politics, keep themselves. Others use their influence to intervene in national affairs as much as possible. I wouldn't be surprised to take advantage of the Emperor's absence for some scheme to overthrow her. I must warn her, but though she's my niece, she stands above me in both age and position. How complicated. You worry too much, Iliad. Whatever those fledglings attempt, nothing can come close to threatening me. So she's already foreseen this, and she's like kind of putting her hockey or her aura on. Hockey, for those of you who know One Piece. For me, that's why I kind of her presence. She's definitely on a different level. For someone who's lived for millennia, the royal houses, and even myself, look to be mere children. Though I wish she would act like an adult often. I suppose that's the closest a family coming into play. That demon lord, That demon lord remembers it. He's not to be taken lightly. Well, yes, of course. So demon lord casually took on the construction of the road leading to Saurion, right? Correct, although he requested the right to taking toll fees. He said he would take the entire burden of construction and other costs right there. That right to toll, which generate tremendous amount of wealth. Ella Chan, shouldn't that be obvious? You mean his monopolies of toll fees? I did also retain the right to negotiate the tolls, though. You have a ways to go still. Those that live as long as we always plan ahead for long-term benefits. You understand this, right? Of course. I estimated the cost of paying tolls on Demon Lord's roads and compared it to the cost of constructing a road. I considered all of this before making my decision. The Great Jura Forest is home to a variety of monsters and beasts. Also, the Kosikia Mountains lie at the forest border with Saurion. Digging a tunnel through mountains construction bridges across vast canyons, all while protecting construction workers from various monsters, not to mention the Tengu living atop the mountains range, notorious for their militancy. Passing a road through their territory would be a diplomatic nightmare. With Saurion's national power, these would not be impossible. The costs vastly outweigh the returns. Demon Lord proposed to take on the entire burden was like a wish to come true. How naive. Indeed, clearing a path to that forest would be incredibly difficult. We'd never want to do that, too, because there was no reason to do so. But now the situation has changed. After war progress, a vast proportion of the South now belongs to Demon Lord Milam. With absolute power backing them up, they are sure to flourish. The Western nations take up the Northwest, and the armed nation of Dwargan lies in the north. And in the middle of them is the new nation Tempest. You see where I'm going? Yes, that is exactly correct. I am well aware of the unprecedented value lying of Tempest. However, construction maintenance roads would come with tremendous cost and risk. That is why I decided paying the tolls would be the most effective way to gain access to them. Was I wrong? I wouldn't call you wrong, she says. In the short term, we don't lose anything. Most will call a great decision, but in case you forgot, he's a demon lord, which means he will live as long as us. You need to think these things harder before making a permanent agreement. So 80 points, pretty much. He's thinking long term because Slime had a limited amount of life, but now that he's a demon lord, he's literally pushed to the point of an elf lifespan. We should have participated in the construction, forming and dispatching our own labor force. Then we could leave them to handle the defense against mountain monsters. We'd even put the least amount of effort into the project. They wouldn't be able to permanently monopolize rights to construct a road pretty much for indefinitely, as long as he's alive. Of course, since we control, we are still at a disadvantage in toll negotiations. That's why I call you hard-headed, Elwood. You did well realizing the change in circumstance, but you failed to update your own values, sense of values along with it. How could I let this happen? I can see it. Demon Lord removed a satisfied smile. Setting that aside, the matter of the invitation. As we know from Yoshida, since store and the road maintenance, Demon Lord is well versed in human society, and he made full use of that knowledge to ascend to the peak within the last few years. Since we want to make family-friendly relations with him, I must participate personally. There was no other option from the very beginning. I understand. I will constrain those that attempt to interfere. However, I cannot guarantee the safety of their nation regarding your personal for the visit. Send the avatars working directly under the Imperial House. You pick out a few members from the Magus, different houses. Understood. I will make the arrangements. Thanks. He really got me good. Demon Lord Room. Will I be able to wear a smile on my face next time we meet? So, I like this. The last few chapters had been more kind of a downplay and just discussing thing with the Demon Lord, the Vampire Demon Lord. And so, I love the politics of I got reincarnated as a slime. And so I like the fact that we're getting lore. I like the fact that we're getting information about Saurion, which has kind of been in the background for a while. So, backing up to the beginning, there was a lot in this chapter. It's plus. I like the fact that we got a little Miles Morales talking to someone essentially he didn't want to disrespect. They're like, oh, he doesn't want to disrespect, but then it shows up in the fact that he respects, he's his benefactor, he kicks the noble out, especially after the noble's trying to hit on and possibly take advantage of him, slash what he thinks is her. It shows Morales' character. Then we see his smile or his hint for the money in negotiations with the festival, which I like to see. And then we see Dwargan where they're kind of the military advisors like, we need to consider him as a member of the threat. Look at this, and King's like, no, no, no. He's like, he is my friend. He is my fellow disciple. We were both trained by the same swordmaster. We are for his first, his strongest ally. We will remain so unless he changes. Until then, we're like this. And I think that's good, especially looking at the fact that Milam gained all the territory. Rur gained the whole, was acknowledged as having the whole entity of the Jorah Force. In Milam's territory, it's more going to be directly connected to Tempest because of how childlike Milam is, even with the other two helping her, other former demon lords. Still see it, they're going to be continually going back and forth between Tempest. So Tempest is going to have a direct influence, especially with the other nation that just fell, and you had Yom, their ally, installed as king. So pretty much you've got the whole region essentially is either controlled or directly tied to Tempest. And I like that. We're seeing that, seeing how the other leaders are reacting. And then we switch to Saurion. We get to kind of hear the relationship between Saurion, his niece, and Alan, which I like, and kind of how they're manipulated, trying to go back and forth. And then kind of how he's worried about the other nobles taking control. She's like, no. She's like, I got this. So, good. This was my first review and reaction. I would give this this is going to be different because it comes to action. There's going to be a lot of action on and off, but there's also going to be a lot of lore. So, story component, we got a lot. We got Saurion information. We got Dwargan. Kind of also established more of Milam's territories. So we got story, and then we're developing character. Story and character. Character, we got a lot with Miles Morales. We continue to see more of his character, his development as a shrewd businessman trying to work with people at the same time as a friend indebted to Rimuru. We got to see a little Rimuru, and then we got to see Dwargon and his allies, King. I liked how we saw his personality come out as it's, hey, his advisors are trying to give him advice. He's like, Rimuru could be threatened. He's like, no, he's my friend. So we saw that. We see Alan's father, and then we see the Empress. Alan's father kind of missing some things with Rimuru not thinking the whole picture with the fact that Rimuru's going to live as long. The Empress seeing that as realizing he's a nice person, but he's also he's a cunning businessman. And so she's seeing that. She's like, okay, this we're going to do. We're going to here. And so we kind of got to see the dynamics of that a little. So those are my short story and character. I love this. I would give it for my first one, a 9 out of 10. Just because it's for first one, I want to be like, wow, 10 out of 10. I still think it deserves that because there was so much information here, but 9 out of 10. Jolly Green, 1990. Sign off. Bye, YouTube.